We approved plans today to the Southern Command to continue fighting and enhance the military pressure on Hamas, a pressure that will bring about the collapse of the Hamas and bringing back the hostages. Only this pressure managed to bring up to now some of the hostages, in fact, many of them. Tomorrow, we mark 100 days to the beginning of the fighting. 100 days where the hostages are still held in Gaza by the terrorists of Hamas, the cruel terrorists. We act with all the means, mostly covered, in order to bring them back. And this way we shall continue until we bring all of them back. This mission has not been completed yet. I know that every minute has a critical impact and we are not complacent. Time is running to bring back the hostages, and we do not forget, even for one moment, and we don't neglect this very sublime mission. In order to bring about real results, we have to continue to act in the enemy's territory, not to give in to blackmail attempts that will not bring about any results. We have to continue to pressure, and this is exactly what we're doing. The leadership of Hamas has hopes for the cessation of the fighting, and they're convinced that it's coming. On behalf of such just objectives and goals, we are determined and consistent. These goals will take a long time. We said it from day one. In order to dismantle the Hamas, we need and we must have patience. In Gaza today, there are 4 battalions that are fighting. The forces advance according to the plan and adapt their methods of operandi to the missions, to the area, and to the enemy. We completed the dismantling of the military infrastructure of the Hamas in the northern part of the Strip, and now we go to missions in order to deepen the achievements and to preserve it. There are still terrorists over there. There are some infrastructure, and we shall continue to hit, to pursue, and to eliminate. We make the major effort in the center and the southern part of Gaza. There we exposed, even today, in fact, plans for production weapons underground, including missiles that are designated for the home front of Israel, a real industry of weapons. And this is very important in order to prevent the future armament of the Hamas. And you have to understand that without the underground operation, we would not have been able to do it. The forces eliminate these infrastructure in a methodical way, and at the same time, the forces are continuing to kill terrorists by air, by sea, and by very brave battles face to face, also on the ground in a very complex area. As part of the advancements of the war, we discharged some of the reservists, and their mobilization is really commendable. You, the dear reservists, you are a role model to the Israeli society. We will need you, of course, in 2024 as well, and we're going to do it while preparing ourselves with enough time and also the right rewards to you, and no less important, to your families, who throughout this whole period kept and looked after your homes. We are waging a war in a few arenas simultaneously. We act everywhere. There will be no immune areas to those who want to kill us, neither in Gaza nor in Judea and Samaria, and also in the other arenas all over the Middle East. Hezbollah decided to serve as a defender of Hamas, as a proxy of Iran, and we take a very high price for that from them. Those who continue to forge things in the north and in Gaza, we are going to respond. That's what we did in the past, and that's what we'll do in the future. The security in the north is now being stabilized. We are detaching the terrorists around in the north and those forces of Hezbollah that have been working for years. We are free acting in the air on Lebanon, and we attacked any threat we identify. The area of South Lebanon is a battle zone, and it's going to stay like that as long as Hezbollah is acting from that. Hezbollah might turn the entire state of Lebanon to a war zone, and that will fetch a very high price. We are ready to fight today as well, and we're improving our forces all the time. We are committed to change the security situation in such a way that will enable the return of the inhabitants with full safety to their homes in the north and in the south. In Judea and Samaria, we are acting around the clock in the settlements and in the axes. During the war, we executed an unprecedented number of attacks, and we stopped terrorists on their way to attack. Together with the inhabitants, we are investigating every event, and we strengthen our defense. Last night as well, in the settlement of Adura, there was an attempt to attack, but together with the inhabitants and the army, alertness and certain activities brought about a result where the 3 terrorists were killed without them reaching the citizens and without any citizen being harmed. And we will wish speedy recovery to one of the combatants who was injured. A real investigation is the lifeline of an army. We investigate all the time. This is what the IDF does. This is our way to learn and to improve. IDF is in charge of the security of the state, and it's committed to improve and adapt itself to fighting in the area. An operational investigation, of course, is not instead of an external investigation. We understand that the war is going to go on for quite a long time, and therefore we started planning the structure of the interrogations. We must learn, even within the war itself, when the fighting always will be on the first order of priority. We're not going to jeopardize it because we are the ones who do it as well. We did not determine yet when exactly we're going to start interrogating, but we did determine that we're going to interrogate and investigate as early as possible all the events that brought about the waging of the war and the events of October 7th. We must try to understand what happened in order to better defend the inhabitants of the environs of Gaza, and in order to ensure that this day will never repeat itself, so that we will know how to bring them back to their homes with full safety. The IDF, obviously, subject to the government and respects it. We should and we must be asked questions and to be criticized. We listen and we learn from everybody. But the decision about the investigation is an operational need, is an internal decision, and not that of a policy. The IDF wants and needs to be better, and I'm convinced that everybody understands and identifies with this wish. In these days, it's important to remember we are fighting a definite, just war. A murderous enemy started it and butchered in an inhuman way innocent people. We do not forget, and we will never forget. And we shall continue to remind those who are trying to deny it as well. We are fighting on our right to live here in safety. The IDF fights in a professional way, according to its values and according to the international law. The IDF, with all its combatants and commanders, is focused on the objectives of the war, and we shall continue until we achieve them.